Hey everyone, welcome to Myth Talk. Today's Myth Talk is on elves. So we're going to get right into it with a more common version of the elf. An elf, or in plural elves, is a type of human-shaped supernatural being in Germanic mythology and folklore. In medieval Germanic speaking cultures, elves seem generally to have been thought as beings with magical powers and supernatural beauty, and violent towards everyday people and capable of either helping or hindering them. However, the details of these beliefs have varied considerable over time and space and have flourished to be in both pre-Christian and Christian cultures. The word elf is found through the Germanic languages and seems originally to be meant as white being. Reconstructing the early concept of an elf depends largely on texts written by Christians in Old and Middle English, Medieval German, and Old Norse. These associate elves variously with the gods in Norse mythology, with causing illnesses and magic, and with beauty and seduction. After the medieval period, the word elf tended to become less common throughout the Germanic language, losing out to alternative native terms like dwarf and German and Holdria and Scandinavian languages, and to loan words like fairy. Still, beliefs in elves pursued in the early modern period, particularly in Scotland and Scandinavia, where elves were thought as magical, powerful people living, usually invisible, alongside everyday human communities. They continue to be associated with causing illness and with sexual threats. For example, a number of early modern ballads in the British Isles of Scandinavia, originally in the medieval period, described elves attempting to seduce or abduct human characters. With urbanization and industrialization in the 19th and 20th centuries, beliefs in elves declined rapidly. However, from the early modern periods onwards, elves started to be prominent in the literature and art of educated elites. These literally elves were imagined as small, impish beings, with Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream being a key development of the idea. In the 18th century, German Romanticist writers were influenced by the notion of the elf and re-imported the English word elf in German language. From the Romanticist elite culture came the elves of popular culture that emerged in the 19th and 20th century. The Christmas elves of contemporary popular culture are a relatively recent tradition, popularized during the late 19th century in the United States. Elves entered the 20th century high fantasy genre in the wake of works published by authors such as J.R.R. Tolkien. These popularized the idea of elves as human-sized and human-like beings. Elves remain a prominent feature in fantasy books and games, and thereby continue to be a role in shaping people's understanding of their own real-life identities. And with that said, we're going to go ahead and move on to our Christmas elf, because they are listed as two different things. And an elf itself is considered more of, it can be good or bad, and obviously Christmas elves are more be considered a good type of thing. So we're going to get into it here with Christmas elves, and this will continue with our Christmas themed Wrestle Talks as well. So the Christmas elf, in both American and Canadian culture, a Christmas elf is a diminutive elf that lives with Santa Claus at the North Pole and acts as his helper. Christmas elves are often depicted as green or red colored with large pointy ears and pointy hats. Santa's elves are often said to make the toys in the Santa's workshop and take care of his reindeer, among other tasks. They were first introduced in literature by Louisiana May Alcott in 1856. The Santa Claus character is much older, emerging in U.S. folklore in the early 17th century from the historical figure Saint Nick of Myra, with attributes of various European Christmas traditions, especially from English Father Christmas and Dutch Sinterklaas. The association of Christmas presents with elves has proceeded in the first half of the 19th century with the Tomte in Sweden and Nicaea in Denmark, and St. Nicholas himself is called an elf in A Visit from St. Nicholas. Christmas elf appeared in literature as early as 1850 when Louisa May Alcott completed but never published a book entitled Christmas Elves. The image of the elves in the workshop was popularized by Goldie's Lady Book, with a front cover illustrating for its 1873 Christmas issue showing Santa surrounded by toys and elves with the caption, "Here we have an idea of the preparations that are made to supply the young youths with toys at Christmas time." During this time, Gaudie's was immensely influential to the birth of Christmas traditions, having shown the first widely circulated picture of the modern Christmas tree on the first cover of its 1850 Christmas issue. Additional recognition was given in Austen Thompson's 1876 book, The House of Santa Claus, a Christmas fairy show for Sunday schools. Some say St. Nicholas himself was an elf. And in contemporary pop culture in the U.S., German, and Britain, the modern child's folklore of Santa Claus typically includes elves at Christmas. Green-clad elves with pointy ears and pointy hats as Santa's assistants or hired workers. They make the toys in the workshop located in North Pole. In recent years, other toys, usually high-tech toys like computers, video games, DVDs, and DVD players, and even mobile phones have also been depicted to be ready for delivery but not necessarily made in the workshop as well. In this portrayal, elves slightly resembled nimble and delicate versions of dwarfs and Norse myth. They've also taken part in various films such as Santa Claus the Movie, Santa's Workshop, The Rise of the Guardians, among others as well. And they're also known for various things around the world. And I think that's actually going to end out this week's Myth Talk. Next week's Myth Talk, we will continue our Christmas-themed Myth Talks when we will be talking about Krampus himself. So, have a great day. Peace. Thank you guys for watching.